So the Eagles just got some huge news with one of their key Week 1 starters returning from injury, but with that brings on a massive choice that Sean Desai and the coaching staff are gonna have to make real soon, and it could be an uncomfortable decision. Also, could Howie Roseman be preparing to make a blockbuster move before the trade deadline, and could the Quez Watkins experiment in Philly be coming to an end after his continued struggles? Plus, the Eagles could take their offense to the next level if they fix this one major issue, so when will they finally do that? Well, we're gonna talk about all that and more in this video today, so let's not waste any time and get straight into it. So the Eagles offense is coming off a really good performance where they put up 454 total yards of offense versus the Rams. The run game continued to be successful, and the passing offense finally seems to be clicking. Jalen Hurts is playing like an elite quarterback once again. A.J. Brown has been unguardable, especially over these last 3 weeks, where he has led the NFL in receiving yards during that span with 433 yards, and overall he's 4th in the NFL in receiving with 541 yards. Then you have Devontae Smith still doing his thing and contributing, and Dallas Goedert finally got going last week with a 117-yard performance along with a touchdown. So on the offensive side of the ball, all seems to be well until you realize that they have one major flaw, and that is their red zone offense, which is easily one of the most important things about having a successful offense in general, but the Eagles have really struggled there as they have the 27th ranked red zone offense in the NFL this year so far, converting with a touchdown rate of just 42%, which is way down from their 68% mark last year. Now, I think a lot of that has to do with play calling, but the execution just hasn't been great either. So on Tuesday, offensive coordinator Brian Johnson was asked about the red zone offense, and this is what he said.
Well, I think particularly there hasn't been one thing that's prevented us from scoring the touchdowns that we need to score down there, which we all know we're capable of doing. So for us, it's really just a balancing act of, we got to do a great job of putting a plan together and putting those guys in a position to make plays. Secondly, we got to do a great job of executing, but ultimately for us, we know that's an area that we got to continue to improve. You see us kind of moving the ball, in between the 20s and doing a nice job in some areas, but that's definitely an area of focus for us to continue to get fixed.
So Coach Johnson pretty much summed it up perfectly. It hasn't just been one thing. They got to be better across the board, whether that be the coaches or players. And I also did like how he acknowledged that they of course know that they need to be better there, and it has become a point of emphasis for them to improve that. Now obviously there were some frustrations that were visible to the fans during the game versus the Rams, with Jason Kelce being very animated on the sidelines with Nick Sirianni and Jeff Stoutland, and then later explaining that his frustration was based on the Eagles offense's red zone struggles. So hopefully this team is as motivated as possible to get these issues fixed. I'm personally confident that they eventually will because of the amount of talent this team has and the success we saw them have last year in the red zone. I mean, we know how good they can be down there, and when they eventually do fix this issue, this offense immediately will be taken to the next level, because getting touchdowns instead of field goals could take the Eagles offense from scoring in the 20s to scoring in the 30s and 40s consistently. It's just a matter of how soon, so hopefully the Eagles red zone offense looks a lot better this week versus the no doubt tough Jets defense. Now, the one thing that I will say about the red zone offense is that if they're able to get the ball to the one, the Eagles are converting no matter what because of how unstoppable the brotherly shove is. I mean, it seems like they score almost every single game with that play, and they did it again this week versus the Rams. And tight end Dallas Goedert actually gave us some fun insight into what goes on during those plays, as he said that specifically during the Rams game, he was talking trash to the defense, as on WIP radio, he said, quote, "I told Aaron Donald he needs to come off the ball harder. I told a couple people that they need to get their weight up. I tell them to stop jumping. A lot of times I just be telling them they should just give it to us." I mean, this is honestly hilarious, in large part because of how unstoppable the play is. I mean, Goedert can just sit back and talk trash and piss the defense off, and then they run the play, and more than 9 times out of 10, the Eagles are going to convert it, so I'm sure that just pisses the defense off more. But speaking of pissing people off, that's pretty much all Quez Watkins has been doing in Philly since last season, and it seems like the fans are ready for Quez to be out of here. I mean, they've seen enough of him as this team's wide receiver 3. This year was supposed to be the Quez Watkins revenge tour after having a poor season in 2022, and instead, through 3 games played, Watkins has just 4 catches for 21 yards, and last game versus the Rams, there was one moment that I think may have been the last straw for Eagles fans, and that was a play where Watkins caught the ball on a screen on a 3rd and 1, and he had 2 nice blocks out ahead of him, and instead of taking the hole in the middle, he tried to bounce it outside, and he didn't get the first down, and Watkins just looked scared on that play. And then there was a play later where Watkins got wide open in the end zone, and Hurts just didn't see him, which many just chalked up as a mistake by Hurts, which it was, does, but it's also kind of tough to ask for Hurts to see him when he's rolling right really quickly, and this isn't to mention the fact that Quez appeared to run the wrong route on this play. Now, Shane Haft did a great job of breaking this play and the whole game down, so I'll leave a link to his channel in the description, but here's the clip of him showing that Quez probably didn't know what he was doing on this play, which then kind of screwed the whole thing up.
When I roll the tape, you'll see Quez Watkins looking at Devonta Smith holding his hands up like he doesn't know what he's supposed to do. I think Quez is lost on this play because otherwise, if he's not, this doesn't make any sense. You've got Dallas Goedert running a curl route, you get an in route, and you get a slant route. There's like three guys right here. Quez right here is looking at the snap. He's looking at Devonta Smith holding his hand up. I don't think he knows what he's supposed to do. He's laid off the ball, right? And then, like, where is Hurts supposed to throw this ball? You've got all your guys right here breaking inside, stopping right here. You're bringing all the defense to one spot. There's nowhere to throw this football.
Now at this point, I'll say it again. I think most people are done with Quez Watkins due to his lack of production, but the Eagles coaching staff and Nick Sirianni apparently still see a lot of value in having Quez out there for other reasons, as Sirianni defended Watkins on Monday as he said, quote, "What is unknown about Quez, what can't ever show up on a stat sheet with Quez is his ability to stretch the field. His speed is real, and so there's a lot of things that happen where maybe it's a slant that AJ catches where Quez clears the middle to make it a cleaner throw. So Quez's speed brings a real factor." Now that is a fair point. Quez does have crazy speed that can open up a defense and make AJ, Smitty, and Dallas's jobs easier. It's just hard when Quez gives you almost no production in the receiving game himself. So I don't know. Hopefully Quez can be a bit more productive moving forward, but if not, I really think Olamide Zaccheaus should get a chance to be the team's wide receiver 3 because he made plays when Quez was out for those 2 games. But what do you guys think? Should Quez Watkins remain the team's wide receiver 3 or should Zaccheaus get a chance? And in that case, should the Eagles try and trade Quez Watkins? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Now speaking of potential trades that the Eagles could make, everyone knows that Howie Roseman is always looking to improve the roster, and when an opportunity arises to do that, he's gonna at least make the call to gauge if a move is feasible. And it seems like an opportunity is potentially presenting itself, as the Eagles still have a weakness on defense in a couple spots, with one of the biggest ones being at safety, as aside from Reed Blankenship, the Eagles don't have any super reliable options there, and one of the league's top safeties may actually be a realistic trade candidate ahead of the deadline, and that is Denver Broncos safety Justin Simmons. As reports are suggesting that with the Broncos struggling so badly, a potential teardown could be coming, and it could be coming soon, like before the trade deadline. And Adam Schefter reported that, quote, "Many sources around the league believe the Broncos would be willing to listen to trade interest in almost any player on the defensive side." So if you're Howie Roseman, you make the call to Denver to see if you can get Justin Simmons. I mean, like I said, he's one of the best safeties in the league. It may be tough with Simmons being on a decent sized contract, but you at least got to look into that possibility, because if you do add Simmons to this defense, I think he'd fit right in, he'd fill a hole, he'd fix one of their issues, and he might just be the final piece to the puzzle. So what do you guys think? Should the Eagles try and trade for Justin Simmons, or maybe should they go after someone like a Jeremy Chin or someone else? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Now real quick, before we continue on with the rest of the video, I just want to say, if you are enjoying this video and want to see others like it coming in the future, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Around 80% of the people that watch these videos are not subscribed. If you're one of those people, you've been consistently watching the videos, you're enjoying them, and you love the Philadelphia Eagles, make sure you fix that right now. Go down, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss when I upload any other videos covering the Eagles leading into this game this week or moving throughout the rest of this season. I think that's a win-win for the both of us. Now with that being said, let's get back into the video. Now even if Howie doesn't make this move to add Justin Simmons or another move to shore up the secondary, he's already somewhat accomplished that, it seems. As last week heading into the game versus the Rams, Howie Roseman signed the veteran slot cornerback Bradley Roby in attempts to fill that hole and move James Bradbury back to the outside, but I'm not sure if he made this move knowing that Roby was going to come in and play right away, as in the game versus the Rams, after Mario Goodrich and Eli Rooks both couldn't hold up in the slot, Bradley Roby came in and he played extremely well. As despite only being with the Birds for a few days prior to the game and having to go up against one of the best receivers in the league in Cooper Kupp, Roby held up really well, as he was thrown at 6 times, but he only let up 2 catches for -4 yards. I mean, that's a crazy good debut game, especially given the circumstances, so it seems like the Eagles may have found their slot corner for the rest of the season, and hopefully he can continue to play well moving forward. And someone else on defense who we hoped would play really well coming into the season was linebacker Nakobe Dean, as this was supposed to be Dean's breakout year in his new role as the team's Mike linebacker, but so far we haven't been able to see much of anything from him because he suffered a foot injury in week 1 and he's been on IR ever since. But just recently, as of Tuesday ahead of the Jets game, the Eagles have announced that they activated Nakobe Dean's 21-day practice window, meaning that Dean is eligible to return from IR within that time. So this should be great news, and it is. Nakobe Dean is an exciting young player player, and with a little time and experience, he should become a really good player in this league. The problem, which is a good problem to have by the way, is that the Eagles are winning games now, and their linebacking core has been really good. Nicholas Morrow, ever since coming in and replacing Dean, has been one of the best linebackers in the NFL statistically, and Zach Cunningham has been really good too. He's second on the team in tackles right now, and he's been great against the run. So if you're the Eagles coaching staff, what do? You've got what's supposed to be the Eagles' future at linebacker coming back from injury, but then you also got two other guys who are playing extremely well. So Sean Desai was asked about this, and this is what he said.
I know you're not going to tell us exactly what the plan is once Nakobe gets back, but can you foresee, I guess philosophically, are you open to having all the linebackers play? And did you see enough from Nick that you think maybe there'll be a role for him once Nakobe does come back?
Yeah, I think really, yeah, that's a great question. Really, at all the positions, yes, we do see roles for everybody, and that's kind of how we train our guys. You know, they all got to be ready, and there's so many different situations and so many different combinations of things that we can get to that the more talent, the better. You know, the more decisions like that we got to make, the better it is for us.
So he honestly really didn't reveal too much there, but I do like that Desai, and he's already demonstrated this in his short time as the Eagles defensive coordinator, I like that he seems to be willing to experiment with different things, like maybe having all three of the linebackers on the field at the same time, like was mentioned there, and also something else to remember is that, again, like he said, this is a good problem to have, so I guess we'll just have to see how it plays out. For me personally, I think you gotta get Nakobe Dean back out there. Now, I love how both Nicholas Morrow and Zach Cunningham have played, and I don't want to take either one of them off the field, but Dean just has a very high ceiling. They envisioned a big role for him coming into the year, and although in a very small sample size he didn't look that great, you just got to get him out there for a bit longer to see what he can really do. The problem is I don't know how they're going to do that with the other two guys playing so well, but hey, that's not my job. That's just my opinion, and I'm curious to know yours. So should the Eagles start Dean once he comes back, or should they just continue rolling with the guys that are already playing right now and playing great? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And also, just leave a comment down below regarding anything I talked about in this video. Also, subscribe to the channel again if you did enjoy this video and want to see others like it coming in the future. And again, turn on notifications. That's really important to help the algorithm early. Also, drop a like on this video to show some support if you did enjoy. And if you want to watch another Eagles video recapping their win over the Rams, you can go watch it right here. Now, with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.